Okay, let's get started. Today's weekly town hall meeting, May 24th, 2022. Today's agenda, projects and development updates, marketing updates, collaborations updates, and Q&A. Robinson, can you please start us off with projects and development updates, please?
Okay, our usual process improvements list, this unfortunately remains pretty much the same. Elk, no progress, and the Bitcoin deposit and withdraw documentation that's ongoing. We had some downtimes, etc., which had delayed this. And on the Peerplays network, which is the block explorer, it was restored, but at this point it is down due to a migration and resulting issues with the SSL certificate. So this might be a small issue which will get resolved soon. I guess the major aspect is elk-based tracking, which has been here for close to 5 months now. This is something we need to prioritize and get done. So that's on our process improvement list. On the Dex UI, we have minimal number of bug fixes happening here. The production version remains the same, but we have a new version for QA, which is actually QA completed, 078, which is QA of this is completed. And this is going to issue various small cosmetic issues. And also on the GPOS voting screens, there was some bugs. We'll be addressing all those issues with this release. So this week, we'll be upgrading our production deployment from 0.705 to 0.78. So that will be happening this week. So here is the progress of our bug fixes and the charts. It's quite self-explanatory. Overall progress charts, which is the Next UI. So we have an internal version 0.05, which is given for QA. There are various screens in progress. And we also have the functional specs, which is in progress. And we are soon, let's say from tomorrow itself, we'll be starting to develop formal test cases for the next. And in addition to what's been shared here, we are also looking into integration of Whale Vault. So this is happening. So Whale Vault is a secure Web3 wallet which supports Peerplays and Peerplays I believe EOS, Hive, and Steam. So we're trying to integrate Whale Vault first with the older Dex UI and then with the next. So this will address one of our long-standing issues of not having a secure Web3 wallet. So that's another item which is in progress. So here is our burn down and burn up charts and a progress charts again. On the text board, so the next item is the text board, which is our market maker board. So we do have some surprises and changes here. So the previous week's slides said the Linux and Mac installers are working. But unfortunately, we have seen that both the Linux and Mac installers, which is available in the developed branch, both of them are failing. So we are investigating this. And setup instructions, they also need some verification. But that being said, the mainnet testing has been completed. Once we revisit the installers for both Linux and Mac, we'll be proceeding with a release. And we also, and I think we have to take the learnings here because we attempted to quickly release this product without having a formal QA. But as we have seen, we are seeing that the installers are failing, even though we are under the assumption that this has been working. And if you check the previous week's slides, it said these installers are working. So we may have to take a step back here and introduce formal testing as well. So we are also taking steps for that. So what we're planning to do is we are using this tool called Sapphire, where we are recording the test cases. So we are also looking into creating formal test cases and verifying them so that we are not encountering surprises like this in the future. On the blockchain updates, so the slides itself remains pretty much the same except for one line about Sapphire test cases being investigated. So what's happening is we are investigating the way blockchain replay is happening and what happens when the replay is being stopped. So there was various reports regarding challenges with respect to replay as well as resuming a replay after this has been stopped with a stop signal. So we improved it a lot. We have also completed ZMQ related items. And right now, what has happened is we have identified possible issues with the witness scheduler and that causing corruption to the blockchain files. So we were investigating that as well. But it looks like even though we are having these blockchain replay related items, we'll be able to do a release pretty soon. So at this point, we are planning to have a release around end of the month. So this release was expected to happen quite earlier. Our earlier understanding was that this release would happen in April, end of April, but we have spent extensive time on improving the usability with respect to especially the blockchain file handling, how the object database is handled, etc. So that is why we are taking a little longer than expected to do this release. But this release is going to be a major one with a lot of features, which has been highly anticipated. So that's on the blockchain side of things. Here is our burn down and burn up charts. On the Python side, we have been performing performance testing. We're using a tool called, or rather a library, performance testing library called Locust. So we have managed to do some initial testing where we are querying for basic information and also plotting them. So we've made some initial progress there. So in the coming weeks, we'll share more details on the performance side of things. Express NFT. So here we're still working on the screens. And as part of the Express NFT project, we've also worked on how the fee is handled on the chain. So we have those a few tweaks required for various fees being collected. So that those are being addressed. And that's not exactly related to the Express NFT, but the Express NFT team had taken it up and completed that as well. That's on the Express NFT. So here is our progress in terms of charts. Okay, so that's all from the development team, and handing over to the marketing team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robinson. Michael, start us off with marketing updates, please.
Hello and good morning, everybody. The marketing updates for this week. We have the SWAT project for the 2022 project stage 2 is beginning. Just awaiting some more information, and then I will be passing that on to the appropriate teams and soliciting the information from that. We did it in 2 stages to not overwhelm everybody, but once I have that information, we'll get into stage 2, and then that's going to form the basis of our marketing efforts going forward for all the stuff that is going to be coming up in 2022 for Peerplays. We've got the design and the launch, the careers landing page on peerplays.com and the associated job listings pages complete and are being used and are actually getting us a couple hits on getting some resumes and applications in from them. So that's good. As part of that, we are continuing the employer branding refocus to coincide with that and work on that. The first step that I'm doing is a employee sentiment survey to glean what the team that we have thinks about our strengths, and then turn that into content. There'll be articles and videos for employer branding to try and solicit some top talent that we are trying to get, which will, you'll see the forms coming out soon for the questions that we have for that, but it's basically just going to be like just getting a sense of why Peerplays is a great place to work and what makes us unique and all of that stuff. And it's going to come from the actual employees doing the work now, so that is what people can see that we're trying to attract. And they'll be like, oh, these are the people that work there. That's what they think of it. Great. And create some cool content from that. So we're going to be attacking that this week, and some of you will start to see that information coming out. The continuation of the rewrite of the new witness documentation, just to make it clearer and easier to use, so that when the new witnesses come on board, there's a very linear process for them to follow that makes sense and works and goes forward from there. We've had some feedback, obviously, from people that were saying that it wasn't clear and that it was difficult. So we are undertaking rewriting that. I don't think it had been done for a bit either. So the information was slightly out of date. So we're just updating that, making it all streamlined and clear for making it work for the new witnesses that will be coming on in the near future. And we're continuing the planning and layout for the Meet the Team Behind Peerplays, which is going to have 2 functions. One would be a recruitment style thing so that you can actually see the face of the people who are behind the project and a little bit about what they are. And then also it will work for the humanizing side of things as well, too, for the same reason. But this, like I said, it'll give the 2-pronged approach of the average person who doesn't want to work for us but is interested in the project and getting involved in blockchain, just to see who we are behind the scenes and who's running the show in terms of how things are getting done and providing direction for the developers and for the marketing team and for all of that. And then, like I said, the recruitment side of things, where people who do want to come potentially work for us will see who it is that is in the positions that kind of give the direction as to where things are going and push for the work to get done. So that's where we are with the marketing updates for this week, and turn it over to Sala for the performance.
Thank you, Michael. In terms of performance for the last week, we had good growth, mainly, and a lot of visits to the websites, mainly because we were running campaign test for the career page for the new jobs, and to see the conversion and and the A/B testing to see if it really convert or not. And also we're starting getting more and more keywords ranking for the blog articles and related to Peerplays. Here are the major like pages that are bringing traffic is the job posting, the witnesses landing page as well. So we're still seeing growth on that, and we'll be doing review and audits in terms of the conversion, and then in order to optimize the campaigns. For the social media, we're seeing growth in terms of most of the social media, especially Instagram and LinkedIn. And also the YouTube, we started the week action videos based on the major influencers on YouTube. So we'll be seeing this week the effect and the result from it. And that will bring a lot of traffic and engagement on the channel, and we'll have a lot of attention brought to Peerplays in the crypto industry. So that's from my side in terms of performance for the last week. Thank you.
Thank you, Sala. Jonathan, collaboration updates, please.
Thank you very much. So for the collaborations this past week and a bit, gaming with Gaming Benefits Corp, charitable gaming, we had we had 2 calls since our last update. In terms of progress on that, they did attend 2 conferences. One was in Washington, the other in, I want to say, Minnesota, but I may be wrong on that. In both those conferences, it was quite successful, them showcasing their licensed gaming platform, which is going to utilize Peerplays. And that's all the update I have on that at this time. With gaming, we also had an introduction for esports tournament platform. It's an esports tournament event, actually, that's looking to utilize Peerplays NFTs as part of its esports organization. So essentially, we're looking at it as essentially a sort of a badge system for the players that come into play at these tournaments. So it's quite interesting how the use case they want to have. They're also looking to start with that, but then expand it into making it a POW. So it becomes a decentralized sort of tournament organization. So it gives more interaction for both the fans as well as the players to be able to engage in the organization. So that was quite interesting. Can't talk much right now in terms of the name, unfortunately, but in time, as we get closer to something more solid, then we can start to, we can get permission to talk about their organization. So there was that. In terms of community, Avalon Scenes with the community platform is still being worked on for the self-hosted version, which we're working with them on. And that is getting much closer, though. We hopefully we'll see that resolved this week, because the Avalon Scenes platform is typically self-hosted with Avalon. They don't do many self-hosted configurations like this. And so it's been a bit challenging. Once we have that configuration in place, it has the capability of scaling, and it will become something which with Peerplays, we anticipate to be able to showcase to the rest of the crypto industry, if not the rest of the communities at large, as a platform which we'll be able to build further on, so that we'll have integrations with Peerplays, and of course, we'll showcase some of the things we can do. So that's on the front with Avalon Scenes. On community, there was also 3Speak Media with the 3Speak project. We've had a number of calls with them over the course of the last few weeks, primarily reviewing all the work that's been done in relation to the 3Speak network and Peerplays. So they've had some questions in regards to our node operations and how they work, and what the status of the network is. And of course, we were able to give them all the details on that. Everything was very positive. We actually, following this meeting, have another meeting. So communication channels on that have ramped up more over the course of the last couple of weeks. And so we anticipate to see some more activity in collaboration with them over the course of the coming weeks, particularly in relation to the next release that Robinson talked about earlier. So that's all good news. And infrastructure. So there was a call. This is the Internet of Things project, which I have talked about in previous updates, which is quite exciting. They can't be named at this time, but with that project, we essentially have already talked about we've shared some network diagrams in terms of how the functionality of this type of network would work with Peerplays. We've explained to them how the current state of Peerplays in terms of how the blockchain works. We have plans to move towards a substrate type of a stack. And so in terms of implementing this kind of Internet of Things project, it would make the most sense to do it at that stage as part of the new infrastructure. And that would be where that project would get started. So of course, that's in the, I'd say, medium future. So it's not something that's going to be immediate, but they are still quite excited about the working with Peerplays on this. And so we'll expect to hear more about that in the future. And with real estate, NFT POW, that's the real estate project to be named again, is another one that I might have mentioned in previous calls, in previous updates, where we had another call this past week talking about being able to work in the real estate industry with an NFT POW, specifically to be able to facilitate development projects. So this would be something in the neighborhood of like if there was a developer looking to be able to have a channel for being able to have capital come in order to develop real estate. This mechanism through this POW would allow for investors using crypto to be able to utilize the POW, and then the developer through his real estate would then be able to develop it into something. To think about like a resort, for example. Typically these take tens of millions of dollars in terms of investment, and being able to reach these investors worldwide is sometimes a challenge. And so with a mechanism like this, it would make it so that it's far more efficient, and it would, of course, make it so that it's also binding. So everybody has transparency in terms of the transactions that are taking place with the project. There's no need for the legal overhead that happens in these types of transactions oftentimes. So yeah, it also creates within Peerplays a secondary market, which is an interesting feature that a lot of these investors are very excited about. The concept actually isn't new. It's something that we've been approached about in the past, and it just wasn't good timing in terms of that. But with the scaling that we're looking at using Substrate, something like this could be possible. And what the secondary market would mean is essentially the capability of being able to get a piece of some kind of real estate like that, but then still be able to divest of it easily using the NFT DEX in Peerplays. So yeah, secondary markets are difficult to operate in the current regulatory markets the way they work. They're very limited, but in a decentralized fashion, it could open up liquidity and be able to create something quite unique. And of course, because we're working with Peerplays, the features that we introduce in terms of humanomics and being able to gamify these features will add value to its growth and its engagement. These are all, and of course, these elements are part of the reason why all these various projects are interested in working with us, because we provide an added value in terms of the approach to how we apply blockchain rather than just the typical elements that everybody else has. So those were the primary collaborations updates for this past few weeks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, so on to questions, comments, and thoughts. We had none come in from the community over the last 2 weeks. So if there's none here, that ends our weekly town hall meeting for May 24th, 2022. And we will see you all next week. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.